Putin's 2026 offensive in Ukraine collapsed before it could even begin. He had a plan to finish Donbas, break the fortress belt, encircle Kratosk, end the war. He had taken Pokrovsk. The front will collapse, they said. 6 months passed. The front did not collapse. And while Russia was stuck, Ukraine went on the counteroffensive. On May 15th, in a single day, it advanced on 3 separate fronts simultaneously. Russia's greatest victory became its greatest trap. And this shows which side the red line was drawn on. Let's start with those 3 fronts, because May 15th was not a one-day coincidence, but the first major test of Ukraine's new war doctrine and proof that the Russian army is physically collapsing. In Kyiv, the 129th Heavy Mechanized Brigade liberated the village of Odradner and its surrounding area, 22 kilometers in total. Russia had captured Odradner on November 22, 2025, using it as part of its cross-spur pressure operations. For 6 months, it fortified the position, dug trenches, established firing positions in wooded areas, laid mines. Russian soldiers considered this a secure stronghold. Their defenses were solid, and on May 15th, Ukraine shattered all those fortifications in a matter of hours. The 2 units that conducted the operation are noteworthy: the Shval Assault Battalion and the Rugby Team UAV Battalion. These 2 units attached to the 129th Heavy Mechanized Brigade applied a new tactical formula. First, Rugby Team's drones identified and engaged Russian positions. Artillery suppressed them. Then, Shval infantry moved in to secure the area. Russians were driven out of wooded areas, fortified positions, and shelters. The 16th Army Corps confirmed 22 square kilometers liberated in a single operation. Deep State described it as new war tactics are yielding results. Russia lost 56 soldiers. Those who could escape fled. But the most telling detail was how Russian soldiers reacted. Those who could escape fled. This is Deep State's wording, not Ukraine's. Abandoning fortified positions that had been reinforced for 6 months points to something deeper than physical exhaustion. Psychological collapse. Soldiers sent to the front with just 1 week of training have lost even basic defensive reflexes. At Orada, resistance was low, morale was low, coordination was near zero. And this isn't the story of a single village. It's a mirror of the overall state of the front. That same day in the south, Ukrainian counterattacks at the Kostyantynivka front halted Russian advances. ISW's May 15th assessment. Ukraine advanced in the Kyiv and Kostyantynivka directions. Advances in the Slavansk direction were also confirmed at Vichansk. The 23rd Assault Regiment RU captured 3 Russian soldiers. In a single day on 3 separate fronts, 3 different units, and in all of them, Ukraine is advancing. Russia is defending. And the Shikval plus Rugby Team formula from Odradner is a replicable model. Drones clear the area before infantry enters the line of fire. Artillery suppresses, then infantry takes position. Casualty rates kept to a minimum, the exact opposite of Russia's human wave tactics. And the Russian army's inability to respond to this shows how deeply tactical flexibility has eroded. May 15th 3-front advance is impressive on its own, but what truly makes it significant is the bigger picture behind it. The collapse of Russia's offensive capacity. The fortress belt is the backbone of Donbas. Kostyantynivka, Duskivka, Slavansk, Kramatorsk, a 50-kilometer chain of fortified cities stretching from north to south, reinforced since 2014. If this belt falls, the roads to Kiev, Dnipro, and Zaporizhia open up. Russia knows this. It built its entire 2026 plan around breaking this wall. None of it worked. In Kostyantynivka, Russia infiltrated the eastern outskirts in October 2025. 6 months have passed since ISW's May 4th. Special assessment is merciless. Not even tactically significant gains were achieved. Kremlin officials issued exaggerated victory claims, but this time even their own military bloggers criticized them. On May 13th, a Kremlin-linked Russian military blogger openly admitted Ukrainian forces are effectively targeting concentrated Russian troops. Behind this admission lies a physical reality. According to Machovet's assessment, Russian forces have been advancing at a maximum of 1 kilometer per week for over a month. Each kilometer means approximately 200 soldiers, and even this progress is contested. Ukrainian counterattacks are reclaiming some positions. The 2 main supply roads to Kostyantynivka are under Russian drone and artillery fire. OSCENT analyses published on May 14th confirmed this through geolocation. Ukraine is risking supply convoys to defend this city, but considers it worth defending because if Kostyantynivka falls, the road to Krematsk opens. To the northeast, Chasivar has been holding for more than 20 months. Russia has been trying to take this small city since 2024. Chasiva sits on elevated terrain. Capturing it would allow Russia to shell Kostyantynivka from above. In April 2026, Russia launched 2 mechanized assaults. According to ISW, neither achieved tactical gains. The failure of both mechanized assaults is an indicator of how badly Russian infantry and armor coordination has deteriorated. With the loss of Starlink, field communications have collapsed. 20 months of every shell fired, every soldier lost, every tank deployed, and the city still hasn't fallen. ISW's April 2026 special report summarizes the outcome. Russia does not have the capacity to militarily seize the fortress belt in 2026. Even in the most optimistic scenario, not before late 2027 or early 2028, and only if Western support is cut off. The psychological impact of this assessment on Russian commanders is enormous. Knowing the objective is unreachable, but continuing to receive orders to attack, it kills motivation. So why is the Russian army hitting the fortress belt in such an exhausted state? The answer lies in Pokrovsk, in Russia's greatest success. In January-February 2026, Russia captured Pokrovsk, the largest city it had taken since Bakhmut. Pokrovsk was the logistics heart of Donetsk, the intersection of supply routes. Everyone said, when Pokrovsk falls, the entire front collapses. The BBC wrote, the road to Krematsk opens, Donetsk is effectively lost. It didn't collapse because Ukraine had already prepared its defense lines further back while Russia was entering Pokrovsk, and Russia suffered so many casualties, taking Pokrovsk tens of thousands of soldiers, that by the time it captured the city, it had no strength left to advance westward. ISW's February assessment is clear. Russia was unable to make any operationally significant advances after seizing Pokrovsk. No significant progress west of Pokrovsk since December 2025. CSIS compared this rate of advance to the Battle of the Somme in World War I. Russia was even slower than the SO in 1916, an average daily advance of 50 meters. In 2025 toward Pokrovsk, 30 to 40 meters per day. 108 years later, despite satellite-guided munitions and drone swarms, slower than World War I. According to ISW data, every 5 meters cost at least 1 Russian soldier. 1 kilometer equals 200 soldiers. At this pace, casualties are a physical problem, but the psychological impact is more devastating. Russian soldiers can see the futility of advancing 30 to 40 meters per day. Training time for replacement troops dropped from 1 month to 1 week. New soldiers don't know basic maneuvers, don't trust their commanders, and hear stories of those who ran the day they arrive at the front. The very units that captured Pokrovsk never saw victory. What they saw was a city reduced to rubble and endless casualty lists. Pyrrhus said, "One more victory like this and we are undone." Putin reached that point at Pokrovsk. The exhaustion created by Pokrovsk didn't stay confined to one front. It affected the entire eastern and southern fronts. Because Russia has a single resource pool, and every time reinforcements are sent to one front, another front develops a gap. The plan to encircle Kratosk made sense on paper. From the north, Liman to Slavansk. From the south, Kostyantynivka Tormke. But ISW assessed the plan as extraordinarily ambitious. Taking Liman from the north was necessary. The 20th Combined Arms Army and 1st Tank Army were not strong enough, their resources having been ground down by Kupiansk counterattacks. In the south, Kostyantynivka has been under assault for 6 months. Not even tactical gains. Both arms were broken, and the domino effect here is merciless. The 90th Tank Division was shifted to the Pokrovsk direction. The front it left weakened. VDV units were sent to Zaporizhia. Offensive capacity in Donetsk dropped. The 5th Army lost more than 20,000 troops in the Julipola area. Soldiers were pulled from the 29th and 36th Armies as replacements. The impact of these shifts on Russian commanders is demoralizing. Elite units come and go. None achieve lasting results. Every arriving unit tries to retake positions lost by the previous one. Among soldiers, the perception is spreading. We were sent here to die. Russia is fighting one fire while another grows, and the water is in a single bucket, and the reality underlying this entire frontline situation fits into a single equation. Russia is losing 35,000 soldiers per month. Monthly mobilization stands at 27,000. The equation is negative. Russia is losing more soldiers each month than it can replace. A leaked Kremlin report puts total casualties since the start of the war at 1,315,000. Zelensky says even this figure has been reduced. Zelensky summarized the math. To fully take Donbas, Russia would have to sacrifice 300,000 to 1 million soldiers. At the current casualty rate, that means 1 to 3 more years of war. And every month, the equation gets a little worse. This is not a sustainable equation for Russia's current population. And the solution applied to close this gap, cutting training time from 1 month to 1 week, deepened the problem instead of solving it. Soldiers sent to the front with 1 week of training don't know basic maneuvers, communication, or coordination. At Odradner, those who could escape fled. This is the natural result of that quality. More casualties, more urgent need for replacements, shorter training, a vicious cycle. The multi-directional nature of this pressure is also shaking Russia's internal balance. The governors of Belgorod and Bryansk were dismissed on the same day, May 13th. The political cost of Ukraine's deep strikes became unmistakable for the first time. Frontline failure is collapsing the propaganda. The Kremlin says, "We're advancing in Kostyantynivka." Its own bloggers correct them. We've been in the same place for 6 months. Bereaved families are asking questions. Warnings of 1917 arising from the doomer. Oligarchs are rebelling against nationalizations. Military failure increases internal discontent. Internal discontent makes mobilization harder. Lack of mobilization weakens the front and the cycle begins again. And the symbolic culmination of this came on May 9th, Victory Day. Putin didn't invite a single member of parliament from his own party. Red Square, no tanks, no missiles. UK Defense Intelligence's May 12th assessment. The scaling down of the parade reflects the Kremlin's vulnerability. Putin's Victory Day became a showcase of failure. Behind the simultaneous explosion of all these layers, the Pokrovsk Trap, the fortress belt wall, the domino shifts, the casualty equation, lies a critical trigger. Russia's technological deafness. In February 2026, SpaceX remotely disabled Starlink terminals that the Russian military had been using without authorization. Ukraine established a whitelist system. Only registered terminals function. Russia lost drone coordination, field communications, and real-time reconnaissance capability, and months later still hasn't found an alternative. Ukrainian cyber units set up fake terminal activation services to trap Russian soldiers. Soldiers attempting to activate terminals hand over their location data to Ukrainian intelligence. The Adapt Institute's analysis confirms this. One of the main reasons for the success of Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia counteroffensive was Russia's loss of Starlink access. A single commercial satellite decision changed the balance on the front. This is also why the Shkval plus rugby team formula worked at Odradner. Ukraine's drone artillery infantry coordination functions flawlessly, while Russia's units fight unaware of each other. The technical explanation for why both mechanized assaults at Chasiva failed is the same. Infantry and armor coordination has collapsed. Attacking without communications is running in the dark. And this is the red line. What collapsed Russia's offensive isn't a single factor, but the common thread connecting them all is technological deafness. Without drone coordination, you can't attack. If you can't attack, you waste resources. If you waste resources, another front collapses. When another front collapses, you send reinforcements there. When you send reinforcements, the first front weakens. The starting point of the vicious cycle, the loss of Starlink. Despite all these failures, it would be a mistake to underestimate Russia's presence on the front. More than 700,000 soldiers on the front line. Numerical superiority still belongs to Russia. Glide bomb capacity, particularly the KAB 30,000, is massive and cannot be stopped without air defense. These bombs are destroying cities, demolishing the infrastructure of fortress belt cities. The Rubicon Advanced Drone Technology Center has been deployed to Pokrovsk. Drone control points are being established at elevated positions targeting Ukrainian logistics. Russia can still strike, but there is a chasm between striking and advancing. You have numerical superiority, but no coordination. You're bombing, but can't capture. Infantry quality has dropped. You send reinforcements, but another front collapses. Resources aren't enough. The powerful but ineffective paradox. Like the Germans at Verdun, Falkenhayn said, "We will bleed the enemy dry." His own army bled more. Putin is in the same trap in a new wave of mobilization. Theoretically possible, but the political cost is enormous. Warnings of 1917 arising from the Duma. Oligarchs are in revolt. Women in Samara are demanding Putin's resignation. A deputy minister evaded the FSB and fled to the United States. Conscripting more soldiers could blow the lid off this boiling cauldron. Where will Putin find those soldiers? And even if he does, how will he equip them? How will he feed them? And during all of this, Ukraine isn't standing idle. It's counter-striking with operations like Odradner, eroding Russia's petroleum infrastructure with deep strike campaigns, applying enough pressure to force Dragon's teeth onto Crimea's beaches. May 15, 2026. Ukraine advances on 3 fronts in a single day. In Odradner, 22 kilometers are liberated. The flag is raised. The village Russia captured 6 months ago is lost again, and Russian soldiers go down in history with the phrase, "Those who could escape fled." 6 days earlier, May 9th, Red Square, no tanks, no missiles. Putin's victory day, but no victory to celebrate. The distance between these two scenes is the story of Russia's 2026 offensive. 4 years, 1.3 million casualties, an advance slower than the Battle of the Somme, and every month 35,000 soldiers are lost, while only 27,000 are mobilized. Math doesn't lie. In 1916 at Verdun, German Chief of Staff Falkenhayn said, "We will bleed France dry." 10 months and 700,000 casualties later, the blood that flowed most was Germany's. Putin fell into the same trap. He said, we will exhaust Ukraine's strength, and exhausted his own. And now he faces not just a Ukraine that resists, but a Ukraine that strikes back. Russia hasn't lost its offensive power, but it has lost the capacity to turn that power into results. And Ukraine is no longer just the side that endures. It's the side that strikes back. The red lines have been drawn. If you found this content interesting, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and follow the